Have you been told that once your growth plates close, gaining even 1 more centimeter is impossible? Conventional science says your height is largely fixed after puberty, and for the most part, that's true. But what most people don't understand is that bone is still a living tissue that continues to adapt throughout your life. In this video, I'm going to break down what bone remodeling actually is, what it can and cannot do in adulthood, and how to optimize your skeletal strength, posture, and frame in a way that can still change how your body looks and performs. If you thought your structure was completely locked forever, stay with me, because understanding this process can completely change how you train. To understand how bone can change, we first need to break the myth that the skeleton is a fixed concrete structure that stops responding after age 21. Bone is living, dynamic tissue. It is constantly being broken down and rebuilt in response to mechanical stress, nutrition, hormones, and recovery. There is, however, a crucial distinction between longitudinal growth and bone remodeling. Longitudinal growth, the process that increases height through the growth plates, largely stops after puberty, once those plates close. Bone remodeling, on the other hand, continues throughout life. So today, we're going to focus on what you can realistically influence as an adult. Bone density, robustness, structural adaptation, and the way Wolff's Law helps explain how bone responds to load over time. Section 1. The Science of Wolff's Law. Julius Wolff, a 19th century German surgeon, proposed that bone adapts to the loads placed upon it. In simple terms, if the load on a bone increases over time, that bone can adapt by becoming stronger and better suited to handle that stress. But here's the important nuance. This adaptation is mostly about density, strength, and structural reinforcement, not magically lengthening bones after the growth plates have closed. When you apply appropriate and progressive stress, bone-forming cells called osteoblasts contribute to rebuilding and strengthening tissue in the areas under the greatest demand. That means if you train correctly, you may not turn yourself dramatically taller, but you can absolutely build a stronger, denser, more resilient skeletal system and often improve the overall appearance of your frame. Section 2. Remodeling, microdamage, and recovery. The key to adult bone adaptation lies in the remodeling process. Under training stress, especially from resistance exercise and impact-based movement, bone can experience very small amounts of stress-related microdamage. In healthy amounts, this is part of the normal signal for repair and adaptation. But this is where people get confused. The goal is not to intentionally damage bone as much as possible. More damage does not mean more growth. Too much stress without recovery can lead to overuse injuries and stress fractures. The real goal is controlled, progressive loading followed by enough recovery for the body to rebuild. When that balance is right, the body can reinforce bone tissue over time, improving strength and density. That's how real adaptation works. Section 3. Axial loading and high-impact training. To apply this in the real world, the most relevant tools are resistance training, impact loading, and movement patterns that challenge the skeleton safely. Heavy strength training, sprinting, jumping, and plyometric work can all stimulate bone adaptation when programmed appropriately. Axial loading, where force travels through the long axis of the body, such as in squats, carries, and certain jumping patterns, is especially relevant because it places meaningful load through the skeletal structure. Research also suggests that bone responds better to brief, repeated bouts of loading than to long periods of low-intensity stress. That's one reason resistance training and impact work can be more effective for bone development than endless moderate cardio. Again, this does not mean you can force your bones to lengthen as an adult, but it does mean you can create the conditions for a stronger and more robust skeletal system. Section 4. Nutrition, hormones, and the internal environment. None of this works if you don't give your body the raw materials to build with. If you want to support bone health and adaptation, you need sufficient intake of protein, calcium, vitamin D, and other essential nutrients involved in bone metabolism. Vitamin K also plays a role in bone-related processes. Although overall diet quality matters more than any single magic nutrient, hormonal health matters too. Hormones such as sex hormones, growth-related signals, and overall metabolic health influence bone maintenance and recovery. Sleep is also critical. A huge amount of repair and recovery signaling happens while you sleep, and without that recovery window, training stress becomes breakdown instead of adaptation. So if you want your skeleton to become stronger, your strategy cannot just be mechanical. It must also be nutritional, hormonal, and recovery-based. Improving your skeletal system as an adult is not a matter of luck, it's a matter of intelligent training, realistic expectations. You may not be able to add significant height after your growth plates have closed, but you can absolutely improve bone strength, density, posture, physical presence, and the way your frame looks and performs. If you want to go deeper into specific training methods for different parts of the body, subscribe and turn on notifications, because this is only the beginning. Comment the word bone if you're ready to start training smarter. And if you want to know exactly what to eat to support bone strength and recovery, click on the video on screen right now to watch our anabolic nutrition guide. See you in the next level.